First time we're talking since the Knicks won. So that's exciting. I tweeted out that Trump's off the hook for sure. Curious to see the White House visit. I know there's some differing opinions on the team itself, and the team is such a unit that I would be surprised if they didn't all make one decision together. And like Josh Hart and Jose Alvarado, they're both very much anti-Trump generally. So always
Right.
interesting with will the team visit the White House, especially when Trump is a Knicks fan and came to game 3.
I really don't understand this. I understand that politics has really, gotten its fingers into everything that we do. I mean, it should be an honor to go to the White House. And I understand,
Yeah.
obviously, the arguments against it and the political statements that you can make, but it should be an honor. It should be a non-negotiable.
Frankly, I want to go to the White House no matter what. Like I went to the White House one time on a school trip, but you don't get to go like into the cool plate. Like when you go on a school trip, they're like, oh yeah, that's like the Lincoln Room or whatever. There's all the stuff in there, but you don't get to like. I think you get to go to the Oval Office, right? If you're a winning team, so. I would just want to go. I mean, it's the Oval Office. Like, come on, guys.
Exactly.
Like, think about who sat there, regardless of where it is now. I don't know. I guess I like history and America too much. I don't know, but like, I get it because you're like, I don't want the awkward interaction that I'm gonna have with the president. That's like, It's kind of like when you don't want to go to that birthday party where you're gonna see that person that you're in a fight with that you don't want to talk to, but like you should go because the person's birthday, like.
Well, right. Yeah. But it's the president. So it's a little different, I mean, it's like, because you're definitely choosing. It's not your mother-in-law. Okay. I mean, your mother-in-law, you can avoid to a certain degree until it comes Christmas or the holidays or whatever.
Right. Right. Then you're sitting down, you gotta have a conversation. And yeah, it is the president. That does change things. It's a good point. It's a good point. Welcome to the PredictIt Podcast. I'm Jacob Studwell. That's Garth Juckem. Garth, let's get into it.
All right, let's go.
Did you catch the Herschel Walker Bahamas video that came out recently?
I did not.
Do you want to pull it up? I almost want you to watch it live.
Okay.
Just
Herschel
look
Walker.
up. I think if you just type in Herschel Walker.
This safety alert.
Hello, I'm Ambassador Herschel Walker. I have an important message for Americans visiting or living in the Bahamas. The beautiful waters here are one of the reasons people love to visit these islands. But I need to warn you about some serious dangers associated with renting jet skis and small watercrafts and swimming at beaches where jet skis and small watercrafts are being operated in shallow waters, particularly around Nassau and Paradise Island. We've lost America's lives to preventable accidents. Multiple visitors have been hospitalized. America have also been sexually assaulted by jet ski operators who take victims to isolated islands. Many watercrafts are unsafe and operators are unlicensed and uninsured. That's why U.S. government
the more you know.
Are banned from renting.
Thank you, Herschel Walker, for informing us.
We're working with
OMG. I mean, literally, the tweet even says, jet ski rentals pose a serious risk of injury, death, and sexual assault. Holy crap.
Yeah. Who knew? If I went to the Bahamas, I would be like, yeah, let's get on the jet ski. Who knew? So Herschel Walker, honestly, he's doing important things. We like to crap on him, but at the end of the day, he's informing American tourists of what not to do, and we appreciate him for that. Thank you.
And letting other officials like himself know that he cannot rent a jet ski or small watercraft in the Bahamas.
Honestly, he lives there, so he should just own one. I think that's the key,
you would
right? Maybe he doesn't like a jet ski. I don't know. When I meet him, I'll ask him.
Good idea.
Moving on. So last night, how much did we learn last night, and how much did we not learn anything? What are your thoughts? You just wrote the newsletter. Give me your initial thoughts.
It's going to be billed as I think the big headline is that Trump lost again. I mean,
Yeah, they love to dance on any loss, but he went 1-1 at the end of the day. I mean, kind of 1-1. I
he
don't
went
know.
1-1, and the guy who beat him spent like $100 million of his own dollars to win. I mean, which is kind of a crazy story considering he was a nobody, a political nobody.
Yes.
Since February or before February, and now he's running for governor against what is it, the former mayor of Atlanta. You know.
Yep. Keisha Lance Bottoms. Yep.
I think the big winner from last night is John Ossoff. Clearly,
agreed.
That's just really, really, really clear. And for the Republican Party, it's kind of like a damp rag. It's just
these candidates that they keep running out. I mean, they're just not impressive in any way, shape, or form. No, they're definitely not winners.
Not winners. I mean, they're loyal, but they're not winners.
You can just kind of read them on the face. I feel like, again, we talk about this a lot, but like, you know when a politician is good right away and when they're bad right away. And the middle ones, okay, that's fine. But you know these guys are not built to beat a behemoth like John Ossoff, somebody who people think could win the presidency one day. It's just not.
Well, I mean, you know, in fairness to that argument, I think Ossoff has done a lot to make himself said behemoth. He's gone from the weak one to the strong one in the last 6 to 8 months. So I think there's been a significant transformation in him as a candidate and him as a potential face of the Democratic Party.
What's impressive about this run, and if we just refer to the PredictIt market here, which party will win the 2026 U.S. Senate election in Georgia, he's right now at 88 cents, 88 to 17 in a swing state, to be clear. And he's been above 80 cents for the last 90 days. There's been no question of is he really the odds-on favorite or not. It's just smooth sailing, and he did get a bump recently when I guess they realized what his opponent's going to be. So he went from about 83 cents to 88 cents just yesterday. So yeah, he's really just smooth sailing, beautiful, and it's really important for the Democrats money wise to have races like this where they're like, yeah, we'll throw some money at him, but we're not all that worried. Especially when
he's on cruise control like a jet ski in the Bahamas right now. He's just straight on. I mean,
look at you, beautiful. And just to tell everybody which party will win the 2026 election for governor of Georgia, that's at 52-49, and that actually flipped big time. It was at 53-37 for the Republicans before today, and now it's 52-49. So really a 50-50 prospect. I think people were worried about Keisha Lance Bottoms' ability to get Atlantans, that sounds right, to come out and vote for her. I don't think people are love her as mayor, but she's doing really well statewide. So we'll kind of see where the chips fall there, but it's a 50-50 prospect right now, which is, again, super impressive for an extremely popular Brian Kemp, outgoing Republican governor, to replace him with a Democratic governor. It's really, really crazy. If you told me that 2 years ago, I'd be like, you're nuts. So
yeah.
All right, moving on. I would like to talk about momentum because momentum's super, super important in politics. It also can stop really quickly and it can start out of nowhere. And I think the start out of nowhere is where we're at right now. We had UFC 250 over the weekend. I didn't know what I was getting into when I turned it on. I didn't realize people were entering through the Oval Office, which is just like a novel piece of propaganda. Oh, you didn't know that either? You didn't see the entrances?
I didn't know. No.
Oh, yeah, they walk.
I'm not a big UFC fan, so I was just like,
this is fair.
Another stunt.
Yeah, so, whatever it is. And so I was saying the visuals were striking. And I think what that event does is it tries to rally up the white working class voters that he's lost with the Iran war generally. They aren't that happy with the war. They're not that happy with expensive gas. So this is very much like a rah-rah thing. And I think that's what all of America 250 will be, all the celebrations. And honestly, I thought it was effective propaganda. Generally, I thought it was interesting visually. It was a solid show, lots of knockouts. I mean, again, if you're not a UFC fan, you're never going to tune in, but
Right.
this isn't for you, right? This is for the
Right.
white working class voter in the Rust Belt that he needs to win back for the midterms and kind of get excited for his side and his cause so that they can come out and vote. Because if that voter doesn't come out and vote, you best believe this is a blue wave coming in November. So,
Right.
I thought it was great. If you happen to see a clip or two somewhere, Garth, I actually highly suggest it. It was something that your dystopian movie might have just drawn up. I think it was
Okay.
like the Thunderdome meets the White House.
I mean, I just figured it was Trump's 80th birthday, so they were just throwing him a birthday, giving him a gift that he actually really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. He was loving it. Melania was next to him. Every single fighter who won came out, shook everybody's hand, shook his hand. It was a dog and pony show.
He was feted, totally feted.
All right. And then the other piece of momentum, which we're right in the middle in, is the Iran deal, the newest deal that's come out. The signing will happen Friday. Now, the details have been so shifty and there have been so many rumors. I don't even really know what rumor to pick in what is actually in the writing. So maybe we'll just leave that alone.
But I mean, apparently the Bloomberg got a leak of it and released it this morning or last night. It's a 14-point draft memorandum between the U.S. and Iran. And it kind of runs through the different, things that they're going to do. It's interesting because there's also, I mean, on that level of secrecy, apparently this has been electronically signed, and yet there is no proof yet. So there are scant details on this, and I think in that wake of information is now people are starting to get like cold feet. And then there are also these talks about Israel breaking the ceasefire 80 times in the last 2 days. So I think there's a lot of a talk around this that is, going to feed that until something gets signed. So
I think that's fair. Israel was always the wild card here. Trump can't do anything unilaterally because Iran looks at Israel and the U.S. as one entity, even though Trump's been as clear as ever that he's upset with Israel, which is such an interesting prospect. Just him not happy with the government over there, which aligns him with some allies over here that are wouldn't necessarily pair up, but I don't know. It's things happen and you're like, I didn't expect that. We're constantly in this volatility mode always, but I still think this, if it does get signed on Friday, I actually think no matter the language and no matter what the actual memo says, it will be a big win for him. He can then declare victory. And that's what the average American will know about. Just that, okay, the war's over, a memo was signed, and the details won't matter. The Democrats will absolutely try to litigate this in the media, try to say this is like Obama's Iran deal, but way worse, and kind of go through that motion. But I think the momentum feels like on Trump's side and on the Republican side right now. And the question is, how will the Democrats kind of come in and break up that momentum and start some of their own? Again, lots of time, but this is the first time that Trump feels like he has momentum basically since the Venezuela raids and maybe at the beginning of some of the Iran stuff. But it was needed for the Republicans to get some momentum here if they would have any chance, if the midterms was going to be at all interesting. They got some. I think they got some pretty objective.
Well, I mean, Axios had an article out today talking about kind of the resiliency and kind of the global oil system or pipeline, if you will. And I think we've really learned the human ingenuity to get around, a situation where 1/5 of the U.S. or the world's oil production is basically stopped. And that resiliency is kind of really played to Trump's hand. And I don't know if it's done on purpose or they knew or it's a happy accident. You're right about the momentum. It's kind of feeding into it, and I think we mentioned in one of the newsletters recently about gas prices are down nationally over the last 3 weeks, week on week, and that seems to be pushing now. I think oil is down to $73 a barrel, and so all of these predictions of $150 or $200 a barrel have come to naught. I think we peaked at what, 120 or 130.
Yep.
And so, I think it could, in the most Trump ways of ways, I mean, he could somehow back out of this thing and, claim victory, obviously in the way he does, and create.
Nobody claims victory like he does.
No, nobody does. I mean, it's unreal. But, create and claim momentum out of thin air. I mean, it's kind of fascinating.
Right. I completely agree. And if you look at our RCP approval market, which is going to close today, he's on the third highest rung of approval. So there is some bounce back potentially in his approval. There's also one for June 19th on DDHQ. I would probably aim again for those higher rungs. I would assume there might be some bounce back here on the approval ratings. So that's where I would look. I would probably look on the upper side of things, and we'll see. But I would be very surprised if Trump's approval bounces back. I still think the generic ballot is probably going to stay around. Maybe it's around 5 points now instead of 6 points, but it will probably stay there. I would be surprised if it really swung back in the Republicans' way, but. That's pretty much all we have on momentum.
I feel like that's a win though for Trump. I mean, considering it was at 8 points, to be at 5 points at this stage, considering where the conflict was, considering what everybody was expecting, everybody was predicting, that's a win,
including us. By the way, I will acknowledge when we basically said, when will gas prices affect all of America? And we were clear to be, it takes months. It doesn't take weeks. And I think he stopped it before it was actually going to get bad on all of the American products, right?
Yep.
All right, beautiful. Let's move on to New York. New York votes on Tuesday. I will say I did vote, so go out and vote if you live in New York. Early voting ends on Sunday before the actual day of voting starts on Tuesday. Let's talk about a few of these races. New York 12, which I've been clear that I vote in specifically, is now clearly a two-man race. We do have markets up for Conway breaking 5%, for Schlossberg breaking 10%. Both of those are around 85 cents right now. So traders do think Conway and Schlossberg are both going to break those numbers. I actually think maybe not, especially on Conway. I thought he has been the most, if I can say, pathetic of the group in terms of messaging, in terms of presence in Manhattan, in terms of mailers. I haven't seen absolutely anything from Conway. So I don't know if his Trump message is sticking, but it does not seem like it. But if we look at the actual New York 12 market, Michael Lasher at 63 cents, Alex Boris at 34 cents. I think the traders have nailed where this lands here. It was at 50-50 just a week ago. But if you look at some of the polling, I had an ARP poll that I sent to you that basically said a majority of that older vote is voting for Lasher, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of that older vote is very establishmentarian. Michael Lasher is the establishmentarian in the race. They're voting for Lasher. So the question here is, can that Mamdani youth vote come out and vote for Boris and actually break through? And that's basically the test. Are you willing to test your money on the younger vote in Manhattan to come out for Boris, or are you just going to go with the establishment that frankly wins most of the time? Garth, I don't know if you're following any of these New York races, There's a few other interesting ones as well that I'll mention. Brad Lander in New York 10 is just riding his Mamdani momentum. He has a perfect district, which is just full of Mamdani lovers, supporters. He obviously famously linked up with Mamdani and told everybody to basically vote for Mamdani second in ranked choice voting on his ballot. And he's got 97% of chance of winning against Daniel Goldman. So not much of a race there. The other interesting one involving Mamdani is Claire Valdez and Antonio Reynoso in the 7th district. Mamdani endorsed Valdez. The Nadia Velasquez, who was the representative here, endorsed Antonio Reynoso. So again, it's kind of like establishment versus new age era. And the question is New York 7 more in touch with the former representative, or is it really leaning towards that Mamdani segment there? Right now, the prices are a little weird. Claire Valdez right now, you can get her for 85 cents. Antonio Reynoso, you can get him for 49 cents. The best price I see, I'd probably go with Antonio Reynoso here. I'm not bought in that the Mamdani touch is unstoppable, is perfect, and that's probably the best money you're going to get. So if you're interested in that race, I like Antonio Reynoso.
Yeah, I mean, the only comment I'll really make is I just was doing a quick Google search because, in doing the research for the newsletter regularly, you can see how the Trump message, Iran, and the things that are happening in Washington are kind of clouding, the news cycle in such a way that, Conway is a big name, Schlossberg is a big name. New York 12 is effectively a big race, or should be a big race.
More of a national race than just a district race, right?
Than a district race, yeah. And in New York in general, the primaries, there hasn't been a lot of national news. I mean, I was just looking at the New York Times. I mean, I think they've run 2 or 3 articles on New York 12 in the last month. I mean, so if the New York Times isn't even really covering it, what are voters going to be saying and doing? And so that, I think, it should be interesting to see the Mamdani reach versus the establishment reach, and kind of how that plays out, and what that might tell us for November. I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. Litmus test.
It's a great point, Garth. And I think with less news comes the establishment is going to win that because of their apparatus, because they have people that they know are always going to vote in these races. The machine is going to take over. So that's why I do like Lasher here. You can get him at 68 cents. Again, I like Antonio Reynoso. Brad Lander, I would forget about. There's also a New York 17 race that could be interesting as well. That's for Mike Lawler's seat on the Democratic side. There's a very open primary with like 4 choices that are kind of mostly equally likely. Kate Conley and Beth Davidson kind of headlining that. But there's just not that much coverage. And in those situations, I'd probably lean on whatever the establishment choices are here.
Yep.
All right. I think we're all set here, Garth. I think we're all good. Look ahead. Again, Tuesday is New York, but you also said it's Maryland. And it is
Utah.
Also
Utah.
And Utah. Thank you. Yeah. Perfect. So go out and vote if you're in Maryland, Utah as well. But thanks for listening to the PredictIt Podcast.
There's also South Carolina Republican governor runoff.
Okay, perfect. Yes, South Carolina.
Trump's got his hand in that race, and that should be very, very interesting.
All right. Thanks, Garth. Look out for that. Please go follow us on X at PredictItPod, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube.com/@PredictItOfficial. I'm Jacob Studwell. That's Garth Juckem. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.